on, let's clap our hands and affirm that we're healed. Thank you. Affirm that we are healed. Thank you. You may be seated. The Hebrew word for soul is nephesh, which means animal sentient, but in the Greek, the word soul is psyche, where we get the English word psyche, or psychology, the logic of thought. The primary healing is psyche. You've heard of psyche, so somatic healing. Psyche is the mind, soma is the flesh. Attitudes and the way we look at ourselves or perceive. Perception is the ultimate reality, but not necessarily the ultimate truth. So your healing is in the way you look at things, as Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change or appear differently. You can't always change the circumstances around which the pain was initially inflicted. Thank you. But the way you appraise you in relationship to that pain, it's like reevaluating or reinterpreting or moving the pieces around. You have to do that. We kind of minister sort of therapeutically from these sacred desks each time we speak around the world. Anybody in ministry or teaching. Our objective is to be therapeutic. The most prominent usage of the word healing in the New Testament is the word therapeo, not iomai, which means cure in Greek. But in the word therapeo, where we get our English word therapy, is the one that's used the most. We minister or attend to you menially. Each week you get a little hit. You take a little swig of something or other. Medication or meditation, you're focusing on getting things better. Turn to somebody one more time and say, I'm doing pretty good and I'm getting better at it all the time. So those moments of when we kind of go into that little spacey place and where you start emoting a little bit, feeling, Garth Brooks had like 8 concerts and people came as far away as London and to Tulsa. And it was good for the city economically, but the people who went expecting to experience some aspect of themselves that they would not have experienced had they not attended the concert. And they had some kind of transcendent moment. I don't know how many of you went. The earlier ones stood in cold out there quite a while in line to get into the BOK Center. And I'm proud that it's there. But everybody goes to their ways of therapy. We don't know how to cure life. We're just all in treatment. Talk to me, somebody. Turn to somebody and say, you in treatment now? I can look at you and tell you in treatment. I want to talk for the few minutes that I have, and it's always a few minutes here. From the subject, what's love got to do with it, got to do with it. I don't think I liked that song when it first came out. It was back in those days, Tina was, from my religious standpoint, I was real fundamentalist, real conservative. That was secular, worldly music, and she looked quite provocative, and I didn't believe in that kind of provocation. Now I thank and praise the Lord for it. But my mind is expanded, my senses, by the way, my beloved mother, 85-year-old mother is here this morning, and she loves this church. Right there. Wearing my favorite hairstyle, which I love her French rolls that she wore so much when we were kids. She's incredible. She's been my mom. She's been just like a mother to me. And I'm the fourth of the 7 children she birthed. And for her to get up and drive herself here this morning and on her own and get here on time. She got lost last time. And she loves Marlon's teaching. She thinks he's an excellent, and she's a classical Pentecostal woman, been that way all her life, and she comes to this church and enjoys it. And enjoys Marlon's teachings, enjoys the Spirit, enjoys the love, as do we all. And we're on our way to, I think, making a more pronounced and enunciated impact in this city, Tulsa, Oklahoma, known as the Buckle of the Bible Belt. So I want to talk for the next few minutes about love. What's love got to do with it? And love, the phenomenon or paradox. And I'm speaking based on assignments for this month. Otherwise, I may have talked about something else, but they tell me what to talk about when I... No, we have a theme every month, and so I like to stay with the theme. And I'm going to help myself, okay? The phenomenon, and I say the paradox of love. And love is a paradox. It's a statement. A paradox is a statement or a belief or a proposition that despite sound or apparently sound reasoning from acceptable premises, that it leads to a conclusion that seems senseless or logically unacceptable or self-contradictory. Love is a paradox. It's a crazy term. It's a powerful term. It's defined by some as an intense feeling of deep affection. All of us know what that is, a deep romantic or sexual attachment to someone. It could be a great interest and a pleasure in something or someone. All of us fantasize about love or intimacy, intimacy. We all want that. I've been married 21 years. My mom and dad have been married 68 years next April. Some of you have been married or buried a long time yourself. So, you're struggling with this whole fantasy, this whole imaginary concept of love, that the ancient idea or ideology of loving your neighbor as yourself is a little bit confusing. It's an often exercise in utility. How do I love my neighbor as I love myself when I'm not sure I love myself, or I'm not sure it's legitimate love, or I'm not sure it's even right to love myself? Because that's self-centeredness or selfishness, or what do I get out of love? And why is it so important? And why is it so pathological? And why do people look for it and talk about it? We throw that word around candidly. It's almost become trite. Even in reference to God, love is one of the most caustic, combustible, costly, or expensive emotions in the human experience. And is also one of the most self-centered and self-serving words in the English dialogue or the English dialect. Because all of us get something out of love. Not just being loved, but loving. When you do kind deeds for somebody you love, you get something out of it, or you wouldn't do it. Come on, admit it. Even if it's going on some benevolent or beneficent trip and feeding hungry people or clothing naked people or tipping somebody or giving a panhandler some money or running by your neighbor. I get something every time I go to my parents' house and do something for my aging parents, my 85-year-old mom or 88-year-old dad or whatever this. I love them and I love doing it, but I feel better about me because I did it and terrible when I don't. Excuse me? So you ain't all that. It's really not such a benevolent thing. It is, but I want us to unpack it today for these next few minutes. Let's deal with this phenomenon because let's give ourselves permission, as I've alluded to in other times I've lectured here, let's give ourselves permission to identify what we get out of it. Because I get a lot out of hearing my daughter say, Daddy, or thanks, Dad, or my wife saying, thanks, Dad, thanks, sweetheart. Or we men, particularly husbands, enjoy our wives saying, my husband bought me so-and-so, even if we didn't pay for it. Or if we did pay for it and she tells her friends, guess what my husband bought me? One time on my mom and dad's 30th anniversary, I heard my dad went out and bought my mom this beautiful dress, and we were kids back in California, with 25th anniversary. And she just went on about it because he didn't do that all the time. He went out and bought her a full dress. And when you got 6 kids to eat, Mama bought her own dresses. And Daddy was happy when she did. But he actually went out and bought one and brought it home. And she bragged and she went on and on and on about it. And I wondered what his response would be. And after she got said, oh, honey, you didn't have to do it. We got all these kids. I can't believe it. She went through the whole thing and my dad said, that's nothing, girls. Stick with me another 30 years and I'll throw in a pair of shoes. Well, I could see the joy he had in actually going out with a couple months and finding a dress that my mother liked, which she rarely likes what you buy her. She'll go change it, and, but that's just mom. I'm in counseling and therapy about that now. Love is initially a very positive and powerful word associated with most religious gods. God is love. These gods are also angerable. The traditional Judeo-Christian God can be angered. So a God-loving or God-fearing person, particularly in this culture, is considered an article of faith. The same God you love, you're supposed to fear. He's a God-fearing man. That means you can trust him because he knows if he does something wrong, God might kill him. So that doesn't mean they're such benevolent people. It's just that they're scared of hell. Can I get a big you amen on it? So love is passionate, painful, it's prophetic as well as pathetic in experience. Loving God was directly associated with fearing God. The warped concept of Christianity's love of God is that fearing him and loving him are both virtues and articles of faith. It's confusing for a lot of people. It's like being in an abusive relationship or having an abusive father, and you run to mother or Jesus to protect you from father. In many of our Christian concepts, we need Jesus to protect us from God. Think about that. Because God owns hell, created hell, sponsored hell, has a superintendent over called the devil, and will send you there unless Jesus protects you. Now, marinate on that a little bit. Cogitate on it. So the concept, and it's an ancient concept, not only in Christianity, but other religions that precede Christianity by thousands of years. There's always been a kind of a Christ figure or messianic figure who was the teacher and a healer and born on December 25th to a virgin mother. I could take it to a long list, which I won't today, but humanity has always had fear of the gods of love, from Zeus to Jesus, or Jesus. Turn to somebody and say, do you fear God? If you're a good American, you're supposed to. Most people, whether they admit it or not, are threatened by love. And a threat is a feeling or fear of an intention to inflict pain or injury or damage on or some other hostile action. We're threatened by love and threatened to love. It's scary. Some of you are not married because you're afraid of love. Some of you are more afraid of it because you're married. Isn't it interesting? What love can demand from you. Falling in love or being in love is basically giving someone the power or opportunity to destroy you and trusting they won't. Being in love and falling in love, and then sex is connected to love, but not always and not necessarily. We all know there is or can be love before, besides, and even beyond sex. But what is that love, and how does that love manifest to us? What is the connection between love and making love? There's a lot of people who are in love, but don't really show love. And they don't make love. They do some other stupid things based on being in love. Or there are some people who are not in love. They just love, but they make love. They be doing stuff. Now, there's some people who are married and in love and intimate, or not intimate. They don't see inside each other. They care, they serve, but the real intimacy is not there. And they still make love or have sex. We're going to keep this PG-13. It might slip into R every now and then. Now, the word or the noun love is used so often, it has become trite and common to many. I just love you. Jesus loves you. God loves you. I love you. We throw that around so much. It's like, give me a break. What? You don't love me. Or maybe you do and don't know it. Sometimes I've had people say, when I say to a crowd that I may not be that familiar with, and say, and I'll say, I love you all. And they say, how do you love me? You don't know me. Sometimes I say, that's why I love you, because if I knew you, I probably wouldn't love you. But love transcends all cultures. The term does. The nationalities, all ethnicities. It even seems present and prevalent sometimes in the animal world. You can see affection and tender care sometimes among animals, even the most vicious and violent animals, particularly mothers protecting their young. If you watch the Animal Channel, which I do a lot, you see animals killing, mostly male, killing for food or killing for sex, so that the seed is carried on. In the animal kingdom, how male animals will kill baby males, not the females, baby males, and the females know that the male animal that's coming into the little tribe will kill the male baby, so that the women, then females, will go into heat. They can be intimate with them and produce their own seed. That happens in most of the animal cultures. It's weird. It's about sex and seed. Sex on the sixth day, according to the narrative, God created humans, or sex. Sextet, six and sex. They put you 6 feet under. That's the number of man. Did y'all know that? Well, learn something while you're sitting in here this morning. 6 and sex and humanity and the procreation or recreation. There's recreational sex. But it's for recreation and procreation, to reproduce something. How do we handle this as humans and as people of faith or believers or as people of consciousness? Sometimes between the father and the mother, or sometimes in what happens to be same-gender relationships, you see the same propensity to express love outside of sex or without it, or to feel love. We have this fantasy about it. People who want to be married, I always say to single people, don't marry somebody you love alone, marry somebody you like, because there's a lot of people you love that you don't like. I should have had an amen from everybody in here. I mean, there are people that you love and you don't want to live with, including the one you're living with. Or maybe your parent or a sibling, or children that don't want to live in their parents' home anymore, or don't want to live with their sibling or brother or sister. There's a lot of people you love and you care for, and you would do anything for them, but you don't want to hang out with them all the time. And they might say, you don't love me enough to come around. You don't love me enough to call. You don't love me enough to check on. Well, I do love you. I check on you, but I don't want to be there all day. Isn't that weird? It's a little bit awkward, right? Some of you thinking, I don't know whether it is or not. I think it is. You're starting to make me doubt my love. Falling in love is giving, as I said, someone the ability to destroy you, and trusting or hoping they won't. And when I say nobody can hurt you or hate you like somebody you love, you can see that in divorce court. Sometimes divorce means basically two forces that are opposed. Some of you have been through that. How can you fall out of love? What does that say? How can you say you are in love with several people? Because many of you and many of us, many people have been through. If you fall in love, can you just as easily fall out of it? And if so, what does that say about love? The feature or the figure or perhaps the fantasy. Unless you have it, love, first for yourself, admittedly. When I married my wife, I saw her as she related to me, not just as I related to her. There's a certain selfishness in loving. It serves a certain self-centered purpose. That's okay. Turn to someone and say, it's okay for me to love me. And maybe that is what motivates love to be kind when it is. Because sometimes you've heard of the tough love thing. Sometimes, I know some people who I remember when I went through that whole shift, we went through that whole shift of inclusion here in the city of Tulsa. A lot of people I know who loved me left me and didn't think it was that bad to, and didn't check to see if I was crazy or going crazy or hungry or if my children needed something. And I know those people love me. And I wondered, how does love show up? What wardrobe does it change into? Talk to me. How can you really be in love and know your kid is hungry or might be hungry, or your neighbor is lacking something and or your parent, and you just didn't call or stop by, and you know you love them and you would fight for them or kill for them, but you didn't take them a loaf of bread? That's how abstract and almost psychotic love can be. Now, pleasing or pleasuring oneself is how life and love operates. And it is indeed, it's the libido of the soul. Desire. The word libido means desire or lust. The lust of the soul, the lust of the self. I want to feel good about me. Is that okay? I want to feel good about you, but feeling good about you makes me feel better about me. When I say you love somebody, you've heard me say before, you're saying you love the aspect of yourself that you experience. Jen and I fly out in the morning to go to San Diego, where my 90-year-old godmother will be eulogized. We will bury her on Tuesday. My mother and she agreed before I was born that she would be my godmother. My mother already had 3 children. She had birthed 4. The first one had preceded her in death by only lived 14 hours. But mother was already overwhelmed. She was glad godmother came in. So I actually was given to her in diapers. And she had no biological children and loved having me there to kind of act like I was hers. And she focused a lot of attention on me because I didn't have to compete with my other 5 siblings. So I got this focused attention. She's woven into the very fabric of my experience. Jen has held me a lot over the last couple of weeks. We've had that much time since she transitioned, because she had something like a stroke on Wednesday morning, and she was gone by Wednesday night. We had just talked 2 days before, and I said, Godmother, somebody's going to call me, Rod's going to call me and tell me they found you had slept away in your sleep. You're not going to be sick. You're not going to linger. But she wasn't sick at the time. She said, I'll be all right, baby. I'll be all right, baby. Nobody could say it like her. I'm all right, baby. 2 days later, bam, she's gone. So I'm going to go out, and they asked me, am I going to eulogize my godmother? Well, the service itself will eulogize her. I can't be the main eulogist. Bishop Carlton Pearson is coming in to eulogize his godmother. You know what I'm going to be when I said I'm going to be her little godson? 61 years old, I'm going to be her little godson. And I'm going to mourn the part of myself that I experienced when she kissed me, or held me, or bought me little plastic toys to play with while she cleaned rich white people's homes and drove her little raggedy car out there and never taught prejudice. And even when it was perpetrated toward her, she taught me how to handle it prayerfully, and she knew where to draw the line. I knew in love when somebody had said the wrong thing, and her nostrils begin to flare. I start gathering my little toys because I know we was going to leave. So I'm not sure that love or desire for something or someone ever fully dies. Because love is both genetic, physically, and generic. It's common. Love is intrinsic in all of us. It's in our DNA. It's in our genes. Generic human love is basic and has no brand name, not projected by a registered trademark. This kind of love doesn't die completely, never. Though it can die off or die down. It can be misdirected or directed elsewhere. It can run out of steam and a little bit out of dream or energy. It can be diminished in emotion, but it still exists, if only painfully. You can't stop loving, no more than you can stop living automatically, or based on your will, I should say. It's a crazy thing, and you all have fantasies about it. You think you're in love, and yet sometimes that love confronts you about what it really is or how you interpret it. And in effect, love is an incurable but treatable disease. It can be weak or weakened or even wicked, like wicker furniture, twigs, little things tied together, branches, and to make something strong. Wicker, strong, strength, that's what the word means. It's bendable, it's even breakable, it's pliable. It dances around, it moves, it's organic, it changes, and it shifts and expresses itself different in any given day, any different moment. Love is a strange entity, isn't it? And you have it and you are it, and you try to express it. Many of us have fathers who are less verbal, less affectionate, less emotional, but you know he loves you and would die for you or kill for you. But you don't have a real verbal, intimate relationship with your dad. Or sometimes it's the other way around. Generally, it's with the father. Mother's Day, we'll buy flowers and dresses and send cakes and cards and go by and make a big thing. Father's Day, we give him a tie and tell him to go on about his business. We buy him a pair of socks or something like that. It's not a big deal. Here, that's all right, take care of your mom. To this day, when I call my mom's house and he answers, he said, wait just a minute, here's your mom. Daddy, hey, Daddy, let's talk. Because my mom and I can talk for hours, but I love my father too. And I like to go out there and sit and talk or ramble. He likes to sit on the porch, but it's a different way. They both love us completely, but they express it differently. Everybody like this, say love is different. It's fantastic. It's crazy. Prophetic and pathetic. I don't even know what I'm doing with it. Wrap your arms around yourself one more time. There's the erotic love. What's love got to do with it? Is it a secondhand emotion? Watch this. Eckhart Tolle says, make me feel complete, and I'll make you feel complete. He's talking about love. This is the subtle expectations people bring into any relationship. It sounds good, but does not work. Because no human being can ever make you feel complete, and you can never make another human being feel really complete. Whatever sense of being complete you find, it's always fleeting. You have to go deep within your transcendent self to feel complete, with no need for anything or any person outside of you to make you feel complete. If I expected Gina to make me feel complete, I'm imposing on something on her that she never could perform, vice versa. That's how we run sometimes our mates away. You're imposing upon them an obligation to be the muchness and allness for you, to read every signal, to sense every need, to be perfectly intuitive. And sometimes if I feel like Gina hasn't picked up on me, I actually get angry and don't know it. If she's not reading me or I'm not reading her, she feels it. She can feel if I'm not reading her. And we've been married 21 years. Here's how I have to heal that, by saying I can't expect her to get it all. Because I don't get it all. And I don't even give it all. So I excuse that. And I give up my right to be right or wrong about it. Huh? Hug yourself one more time and say, I got this. I think. Or at least it has me. I think. Whatever the heaven it is. Pull it again. I watched my mom and dad after 68 years. I know they love each other. I know that it's way beyond sex. Way beyond sex. There's a commitment there. It's a struggle. They're older people. But they have us, and they have memories. And I went out there the other day, and they were sitting there in bed talking together. And she had the television loud, and he had the television on. She was talking on the phone. And he really wanted her to go on into her room. But, yeah, they have different rooms. At 88, they ought to have different houses. Well, But I watched the dynamics of that relationship, and there's a preciousness and a pressure. There's a preciousness there that only time proves or improves. Hug yourself one more time and feel you. Legitimize yourself. your integrous self, the part of you that's lonely and frightened and angry, and the part of you that's benevolent and generous and sensitive and intuitive, the part of you that's compassionate and sympathetic, the part of you is careless and dull, and try to balance all that. Because actually, you are all that and a bag of chips. Be blessed and healed and feel yourself and soul. Accept and celebrate who you are and even who you're not. And let love continue to be a mystery or a missed story that you're trying to tell. I love you. Peace and blessing.